time on a Sunday morning to come and be a part of what I believe that the Lord is wanting to say to our community. And there is a powerful word in this season as we are approaching the calendar time that we recognize the birth of Jesus. But I just want to say this before we get into this morning's message. Very rarely do I try to tell you about a previous service and really try to move a CD. But I believe this past Wednesday night was different than any other Wednesday night we've had. There was a moment in the message that I sensed a shift, and there was a movement beyond the veil. We're finishing our study of the Feast of Tabernacles. It was in John chapter 7 when Jesus said, "Out of your belly shall flow rivers of living waters." This he said on the great feast day. He said this during Tabernacles. The Feast of Tabernacles is key to God's calendar because it shows us what it is God is wanting to do. And so the feasts are imperative that we understand the feast. We understand what God did in us in Passover and what He did in us in Pentecost. But Tabernacles is the movement into your promise. It's the movement from always living your life looking at it from a distance to moving into occupying the very thing that God called you to do. And so we talk about the different places in the Scripture that God moved His people in the 7th month. The 7th month is the season of Tabernacles. And so we looked at everything from Noah's Ark to Joshua's conquest of Jericho. Just listen to this. 6 times the people of God would circle a structure that, according to Joshua 6:1, that was bound up. There was no movement in or out. Jericho is a name that means moon or month, moon month. And it was in the 7th rotation. The people of God were instructed to shout. And it was in that 7th season that the structure that was binding was broken. In the 12th chapter of the book of Revelation, at the sounding of the 7th trumpet, appears a woman. She is clothed with the glory of the sun, and the moon is under her feet.
Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
Jericho has shifted from a structure that binds you to now being under your feet. Let me move on. She wears a crown that is adorned with 12 stars. You don't have to be a great reader of the book of Revelation to know the stars in the Scripture, especially the book of Revelation, speak of message. Crown speaks of mindset. She is unveiled as one whose mindset has been affected by the message of His kingdom. Saints, there is a prophetic revelation to what God is wanting to do when He's bringing forth out of His people the very likeness of His Son. God is wanting for His people to be those that are participating in the birthing process. I was just in worship a few minutes ago and I asked the Lord, I said, I could just hear the Lord. I was thinking of a woman of Revelation 12. And I said, so Lord, why again is it that we are called a bride? He says, because it had to be talked about in the female gender, because the person that I'm looking to use today is someone who has a womb. So we're in the book of Luke in the 1st chapter. So I would encourage you, if you were not here at Wednesday, you need to get the CD, you need to listen to it. Really, there is a momentum, there is a moment of shift where the teaching moves to a different level. Noah built an ark that was 30 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Every dimension is significant. 30 speaks of conquest and warfare. 50 speaks of spirit-filled life. 30 speaks of ultimate spiritual authority. It is the depiction of the house of God. You are spiritually victorious. You are spirit-filled. You are destined for maturity. The very thing that the enemy sent, well, really the enemy didn't send it, God sent it. I don't mess you up. The very thing that God sent that had tribulation on it did not sink the people of God, but it raised them to a whole nother level. So their boat could rest upon a mount called Ararat, which in the Hebrew means the curse has been reversed. There are things in your life that cannot change until you go through what you go through. You have to learn to go with the process. The process can lead you to a level where the very thing in your life that's been binding